Hey guys, Davis here. And after a grueling 9 months, we finally have a brand new trailer for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave and a release date. That's right, this bad boy is coming out on September 17th. I'm very excited that this game is right around the corner. I've been eagerly awaiting brand new news and just trailer and gameplay footage all together for the latest entry in the Fire Emblem series. And with that in mind, we've got a lot to unpack for a small trailer that we got in this direct. So I think without further ado, let's just get right into it. So right off the bat, we can already confirm where the game is going to be taking place, Dagda. So this will be a brand new continent altogether for us to explore. Dagda has been mentioned in Three Houses before. As a matter of fact, it is where our beloved Shamir is from. So getting to explore this place is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. And yeah, I can't wait to see what kind of expansions they do for this world. And of course, we see a lot of the similar shots from the arena. We see the Divine Sovereign, the arena crowd cheering him on, kind of praising him as this leader. And right off the bat, we get to see two brand new characters. And these ones are kind of important. There seems to be a green armored soldier and a red armored soldier participating in the arena battles. These guys, while they may not have their horses, these guys are very similar to the tried and true Cain and Abel archetypes. Now, whether these guys are going to be mounted units or not, I'm not really sure, though it is possible that they're very likely dismounted. As we have seen, dismounting is a feature in the first trailer of Fortune's Weave, so it'll be really nice to see a return to some of the old archetypes, and you know, maybe they'll bring back more in some of the upcoming trailers that we'll see later on. But of course, once we get the full, beautiful title drop, we get the reveal of our 4 main characters. Now, at first, a lot of people thought that Kai was going to be the central character, but it seems like we get to choose between 4 main characters. Kai is absolutely still one of them, and upon closer inspection, we do get to see a little bit more of his implement on his hand. In the trailer, we got to see him do some sort of pseudo Hadouken Biden blast on some enemies in the arena, but upon closer inspection, it looks to be more like a gem. Maybe this is a crest stone of some kind, maybe he was subjected to some kind of mysterious experimentation by those who slither in the dark. We aren't really sure yet, but it seems like he is one of the 4 choosable main characters for the game, as opposed to, say, the Avatar, which we'll get to later on. Then, of course, we get to see our prime edgy boy, Dietrich. Dietrich is very much ready to go with his relic weapon in hand. We have seen that this character, it has direct ties to, say, Mercedes and Yuritsa. Up next, we have our 3rd main character, Theodora, the Empress, and man, that is a rockin' design, and I really like this character a lot. Speaking of Theodora, I think it's also important to note that in the combat display, when she is about to engage on an enemy, it is cool to see that she has the crest of Gautier in her combat display. I'm not sure if this means that she is perhaps a descendant of the Gautier bloodline, or maybe there's some sort of other connections from where the crest maybe originated from the original Nabatean that passed down the crest of Gautier. It's really hard to say, but honestly, I think that's interesting to see that there are more crest connections, not just in Fodlan, but further beyond in places like Dagda as well, so this might have some massive story implications for Theodora. And of course, lastly, we have what is likely going to be my choice when I play this game for the very first time. It is none other than the dancer, Leda, and man, this girl is gorgeous. I really love this girl's design. Just a bard out for revenge, and also just the small details of her portrait being on the verge of snapping. Quite literally, she has just the vibes of someone that is literally going to go out of her way to murder anyone that gets in her way. And it's a funny thing that we do mention that her portrait reflects that she looks like she's about to snap, because there are actually animated 2D portraits in this game. Some of them have blinking frames. Some of them react to certain events in the dialogue. Touches like this are really cool. I really love when 2D portraits just have like different variations, facial expressions, or reactions. 2D portraits, in my opinion, are a very welcome return back to the world of Fire Emblem, and seeing it getting evolved like this in terms of storytelling is just really nice to see. So having these portraits back is a really welcome change. What's also interesting about this trailer too, we get to see some small snippets of everyone's backstories, more or less. In Kai's, there's actually a very interesting detail to note, and it's the fact that he has red eyes. Kai in his promotional art and in the initial trailers was shown to have yellow eyes, but here in parts of the gameplay and cutscenes, he is shown to have bright red eyes, so I'm really curious what that means for the story implications. Maybe he's unlocked his power with this gem that's lodged in his hand, or maybe he's being possessed. He probably isn't much change as a character, but it's just something that I noticed. I think it's also cool that we get to see Kai's starting squad as well. So, of course, we got the tried and true glasses girl from the very first trailer. We get to see what seems to be the archer of the crew, a very young boy willing to prove himself. Yeah, maybe he's willing to be a big iron one day. Who knows? We also have what seems to be an elven girl with pointy ears. Pointy ears could be interesting theories. Maybe she's a descendant of Nabatean. Maybe something happened of the sort where this is set in the future and more Nabateans have been able to repopulate since the events of Three Houses, though maybe this is just something that I'm speculating and could be something entirely different. And of course, we have our armor bro in the background. I really love this guy's armor design, and I also love his hair. This guy looks really cool. Seems like a guy I would definitely use in my first playthrough as a armor fan myself. Overall, the character designs I've really grown to like a lot. I really like just the combination of the cloths and the armors and just the overall presentation of the characters' art styles and their designs. For me personally, this is a massive step up from Fire Emblem Engage, and I'm really hopeful that they keep going with designs like these later on in future Fire Emblem games. So really, really overall impressed with the presentation of the game so far. It's very gorgeous to look at. Then eventually we get to see what looks to be the beginning of the hub world, or this game seems to call it beginning your free time. What's interesting to note about this approach to the hub world is the fact that you have a main goal in sight, which probably usually revolves around fighting in every round of arenas, and the biggest thing to take a note at is the fact that there is a time limit of turns. Turns are a really interesting time mechanic because it's not really explained if these turns are spent in, say, doing actions like, say, doing turns during, say, encounters, or taking time in the arena, or doing things of the sort. Another thing of note that you could do in this hub world is supposedly recruit brand new characters, most notably highlighted by the character Nene being recruited by Leda. This is very similar to the Three Houses recruiting system, where you would have to meet certain requirements to recruit certain students into your house's ranks. And it seems that Fortune's Weave will be borrowing this mechanic altogether, as below the recruitment dialogue that there needs to be recruitment conditions met in order to recruit certain units like Nene. It's still interesting to see that they're doing the Three Houses route of recruiting characters, and over the course of perhaps doing multiple routes, you can recruit similar characters into certain routes, and maybe some other characters will be locked to other routes, but only time will tell. And what seems to be the part of Fortune's Weave that has me the most interested and maybe a little bit concerned is this zoom out shot of Dietrich looking at the world map of Fortune's Weave. As we saw during the start of the hub world, you have a set number of time of 174 turns. And it seems like this is the main course of action that you'll be spending these turns doing. This world map seems to be reflective of just a game board of varying events. You can see various icons on all of these tiles. Some of them have carts, some of them have fish, some of them have some what seem to be objective markers on top of them. Perhaps these are more skirmish attacks, or maybe these are the paralogue chapters. We can also see what look to be tokens of characters also standing on several of these tokens. These could be a combination of perhaps merchants, skirmishes, or random events that can happen throughout the map. On top of also seeing this world map, we do see a shot of Leda going through what looks to be an exploration section, very akin to Shadows of Valentia's dungeons, where she opens a chest in a cavern. It seems that Fortune's Weave will be borrowing a lot of elements from the Shadows of Valentia system of going through dungeons, while also having a resource management system of keeping track of your turns until the said month runs up and you have to do the main map of the story. It seems to be an interesting combination of months at the monastery going by before you do your main mission of the month, and the Valentia world map integration as well. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I'm very curious to see if this is going to be a very fun strategic implement for the macro and micro play for training your armies throughout the various routes. We also see some footage of Theodora in an underground fighting grounds where she swings around an axe and then becomes a Wyvern Knight. It's very clear that this game is going to take the Three Houses direction of class progression. This progression system would require your units to basically pass exams to become varying tiers of classes of anyone of their choice. So it's very likely that reclassing is going to have a lot more customizability and freedom of choice of what you want your units to be, rather than, say, a dedicated class line with some small reclass options here and there. We also get to see an overarching shot of what looks to be Dietrich's group participating in an arena battle. And I think it's important to note a couple of details, most notably Ursula the sniper. And no, it's not because she's a big iron and I love archers in Fire Emblem, even though she is pretty. What's interesting to note about Ursula is the fact that she has a engage meter very similarly to Dietrich's as we saw in the very first trailer. So this can open up a lot of possibilities, so not just the main characters get to use these engage abilities, but maybe they can be assigned to certain characters, or maybe they're locked to certain characters altogether. This is likely due to the fact that she is in fact a crest holder of the Beast. That's right, she is in fact either a descendant or ancestor of Marianne. And man, that resemblance is oh so striking. Either way, I think this is a cool expansion to look upon the engage mechanics of, say, giving unique stat buffs, unique actions, unique attacks, unique abilities to interact with the maps of Fire Emblem. So I think this is going to be a really interesting shift to, say, maybe other characters that don't necessarily have crests will have engage meters of their own to interact with the battlefield. Also, something to note as well before Ursula takes her shot against this generic, if we look off over to the left, we get to see a very interesting looking beast over there. That is indeed a war elephant. Now, it's a bit difficult to tell if this is just a war beast and is almost treated like that of a Three Houses monster class that only takes up 4 tiles, but I think it'd be interesting to see if elephants are in fact playable classes in this game, and maybe Theodora will get an elephant class of her own later on. We also get to see a beautiful montage of a lot, and I mean a lot, of beautiful combat animations present in this game. The way that Sirocco summons the lightning as the camera pans around him, the way Theodora slams the ground and throws a rock at a guy, the way Dietrich just face steps his way towards the enemy, and the way that Kai just charges up his Biden Blast attack is just oh so satisfying to see. When animations hit hard in Fire Emblem, they hit hard and give us that biggest rush of dopamine possible, and it's looking like Fortune's Weave is absolutely going to deliver on that with the animations that we've had access to, so God bless you, Fortune's Weave. The animations look amazing here. If there's one thing to make a note of these attacks, man, is Kai's Biden Blast really strong. I mean, most of these enemies that he shoots are near full HP, and he does roughly around high 30s to 40 points of damage to each of these bozos. Good God, this is going to be uber powerful in the player's hands, and it almost makes me wonder what sorts of abilities that the enemies will have as well, as bosses in Engage were balanced in the fact that they also got to utilize the Emblem Reigns as well against you, while you also had Emblem Reigns against them. So I think it'd be interesting to see the dynamic of boss fights being able to battle it out against your engage meters versus the enemy's engage meters, and can really lead to some very fun boss fights altogether, as that was one of my hopes for Fortune's Weave, was how they can deliver on boss fights and really step up from what Engage was able to deliver in regards to amazing boss fights in Fire Emblem. We also get to see a shot of what looks to be our main villainess of the game. Oh boy, an evil woman for a lot of people to gush and thirst over. Lovely. What is interesting to note about this villain, though, is while we don't get a good look at her face, she does have green hair and she has pointy ears, which could lead to the theory that maybe she is a fallen Nabatean. Maybe she betrayed her people and is an eternal enemy of Sothis to some degree. And it would probably make sense as Those Who Slither in the Dark's theme plays in the background while she opens a portal to Hell and summons enemies akin to the Risen from Fire Emblem Awakening. But what is interesting following the shot is, of course, we get to see our Avatar Angel Boy Ismail fly through the air and save the day and slay a giant. Now, what is interesting about Ismail in the final shot of the trailer is that we actually get to see that there is a female variant of him as well, which leads us to believe that this is our Avatar character, where we can choose if Ismail is a male or female. What's interesting about this avatar is that we actually don't control this avatar, say, in the hub worlds. We get to see other characters move around, like Kai walking around to the arena. We get to see Leda talk to the new recruitable girl. We get to see Dietrich zoom out and look at the overall world map. So it's likely that we don't actually control this avatar, but more rather he's a passive player that more rather chooses a side that he helps. They're being very deliberately vague on the purpose of this avatar. The weapon of choice that Ismail has also is very interesting, as that they are an avatar with a lance for a weapon. This lance has a little bit of interesting varieties. Some people have pointed to see that this looks a lot like the Lance of Ruin without the spikes on the side. It looks like their weapon is a broken crest weapon that seems to be barely holding on together with bandages of some sort. So maybe it's a relic weapon with a different story that we haven't seen yet. And of course, lastly, we get to see some final shots of Sothis walking down from her throne room to go and speak to whoever she is speaking to. We are still not entirely sure who she's addressing in these lines, but it seems likely the case that she's probably talking to the Avatar. Though that would be a little bit confusing that if he, say, is working with Sothis, she seems to threaten him and calls him the darkest dark. Now, this scene in itself could be a little bit confusing, but what could be an interesting plausible theory is the fact that this story is going to be taking place over the course of multiple timelines. What is notable to say about the description of the game in the eShop is that this game is going to take place over the course of a time travel adventure. I think that's very key wording, as that while yes, Divine Pulse does exist and rolling back time does exist to say rolling back your turns, I think the wording is a little bit more important to say that perhaps your time is reset in the fact that you get to see not just one route in one playthrough, but all of the routes. My theory for this is the fact that Sothis effectively sends Ismail the Angel out to figure out how to solve the world crisis of whatever this evil Nabatean woman is trying to do in summoning portals to hell to break all hell loose. Perhaps maybe she is sending this angel to look after every single route, every single army to see what happens in each timeline and major events that happen along the way. Maybe that there's a big catalyst event that could perhaps unite all of the routes together once all of them are seen through to the end when Sothis restarts history on them. Though, of course, this is all speculation at the end of the day. It could be very likely that the fact that we can only play one route in every single way, but this could open up to the possibility of having a golden route that Three Houses never got to have for its story. But with that in mind, that is the trailer for Fortune's Weave. I am beyond excited for this game, and for what I have seen, the gameplay looks really solid, animations are great. There are some small hiccups that I am hoping to see get expanded upon in future trailers, but with that in mind, we finally have the release date. It's coming soon, and believe you me, if there's any more news that's dropped about this game, I'm going to be sure to cover it on this channel, and I'm very excited to share this game with you all when it finally comes out, so we can all experience what the future of Fire Emblem holds for all of us. Now, I want to hear from all of you. What are your thoughts on this brand new trailer of Fortune's Weave? Are you excited for the prospects that this game is going to bring? Are there some things that you're concerned about for the release of this game? Let me know in the comments down below. I always love to hear discourse about this game and, well, what you guys are excited for the future of Fire Emblem. With that in mind, my name is Davis G, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.